What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be answering some of the best questions I saw this week in the Beat Zillow Facebook group. Coming up. Alright guys, so if you saw my last video, I did an entirely in-depth response to Danielle's question about the ideal time to be posting on Facebook and when to be posting her Facebook ads. So today I thought I would just take 4 of the best questions that I found in Beat Zillow from the last couple of weeks and answer them all right here on YouTube. You guys can also feel free to bounce around the video as you please. I'm going to have each question linked right down below, so if there's something that's most appealing to you and you want to fast forward to that section of the video, just head down to the description and click that timestamp. Now let's kick this off with a question from our good friend, Brent Palmer. Brent asks, I remember seeing something about a tool for creating a link that promotes my website on another person's site. Anyone remember that? I think you talked about it last year, Kelvin Kruviak. I believe Brent was talking about Sniply, and Sniply allows you to add a call to action to every link that you're posting if the content isn't yours. Generally speaking, however, I don't advocate posting content outside of your own on places like Facebook because the frequency with which you post there is much lower compared to other networks like Twitter. So if you're posting on Twitter and you want to share an article from Realtor.com or HousingWire, that's perfectly fine. The frequency that you post on a network like that is much higher, and that's a good place to be using something like Sniply so that you've got a call to action for your own content with that link you're sharing. Now, for those of you wondering exactly what I mean by a call to action on someone else's content, I found a tweet from Hootsuite, and you can see a Sniply link right here. If you click on that, in the bottom left-hand corner, you're gonna see Hootsuite's logo, as well as a little blurb. Read about all the latest social media trends on the Hootsuite blog, and then you have a link back to their website. The biggest downside to Sniply is there is no free option available. You do have to pick one of the paid plans, but they do have a 14-day trial period. So let's say you wanted to start with the basic version, you could try it out for 14 days before you decide to actually purchase a plan. So if you have the budget and you have a sizable enough following on networks like Instagram or Twitter where you can get away with posting other people's content, then it's definitely a tool you should consider looking at. Next up, we have another great question from Danielle, and she says, I'm totally having paralysis of analysis and I'm having trouble pulling the trigger on my first Facebook ad. Anyone else feel this way? I just feel like I've done everything wrong and it's doomed to fail. Not a good attitude. My question is, how long should I let it run? If it sucks, will I know right away or do I need to give it a few days? The reason I'm so happy I get to put this question on our YouTube channel is because I know this is something that so many of you experience on a daily basis. Paralysis by analysis, and that is a horrible thing to undergo. There are definitely different arguments up in the air when it comes to evaluating a Facebook ad's effectiveness. Facebook does take time to auto-optimize your ad before it's serving it appropriately to the right people. So within the first 2 to 3 days, your ad's numbers could definitely be impacted by the fact that Facebook hasn't finished auto-optimizing it. Now, that all being said, I actually think the budget will give you a stronger indication of whether or not the ad was a success or a bust. If you're giving your ad $5 a day to work with in a competitive marketplace, then the numbers that you're bringing in aren't going to be that significant. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's been times where I've given an ad a $100 daily budget and it's only used $50 to $70 of that budget in a given day, but I was able to gather a lot of information in a smaller time frame that really helped me decide whether or not the ad was a success or a flop. I usually wouldn't advise having a daily budget that is lower than $10, and I typically try to abide by the $50 rule. If you've spent $50 total on the ad itself and the numbers are indicating that the ad is not a success, then stop the ad. $50 is more than enough to determine whether or not the ad is working out how it should or whether or not it needs to be adjusted. On to the next question, and we have Brent Palmer making another appearance on our video today, and he asks, would you ever consider having a blog post or page that listed all the local real estate agencies in your area? I think there may be some value in the keywords of including your competition on your website. However, the idea of promoting my competition makes me cringe. Any thoughts? In theory, this is not a bad idea at all, Brent, and I like how you were getting creative and actually made this jump when it comes to SEO and using keywords of other types of searches to your advantage. But given the time it would take to actually make ground on something like this and the time it would take for you to actually accumulate a page with a significant amount of links and structure to actually give you some benefit, I just don't think it's worth it. I really just think the time could be better spent creating your own content, so maybe optimizing your own Instafarm page or putting together an effective video that's targeted for SEO specifically. Great question though, and I like where your head's at, Brent. And our final question comes from Tracy, and she asks, is marketing any different for a $500,000 property and a $1 million+ property? Ultimately, the goal is the same, right? To get the listing in front of as many buyers as possible. Going on a listing interview for my first $2 million property and could use some tips or advice. Thanks. Generally speaking, yes, you want as much attention and visibility for your property as possible. But that being said, with a luxury property, there's a lot of different things to think about. We actually talked about this a little bit in the podcast, and the metaphor that we used was the purchasing experience when you're going to buy a Porche versus something like a Honda is completely different. So really focus on providing an experience that is a tier above what someone would expect if they were going to see a $500,000 property. It's also important to remember that your marketing expenses should increase accordingly. Whatever percentage of your commission that you're devoting to marketing that $500,000 property, it needs to increase proportionately to the value of this new luxury listing. Finally, this last tip isn't so much a marketing strategy for the property itself as it is a marketing tip for you individually. I would be building as much trust as possible with all the people who are coming to see this house. The wealthiest 25% of people here in the United States have shown an interest in investing in real estate. So establishing trust and relationships with this specific clientele is going to be incredibly important when it comes to repeat business in the future. If you guys want to hear the full discussion that our team had on this specific question, I'm going to link to the podcast right down below in the description. Head on over there and check it out. And that's all I got for you guys today. If you like this video, slap that like button right down below and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you haven't done so already, remember to enter for your chance to win that free iPad. We are still hosting that giveaway. It's going on through the rest of this month. All you got to do is make sure you're subscribed to our channel and you comment on this video or any other EAP video. There will be a link in the description below with more details. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you soon. Bye.